When a master assassin comes to break down Assassin's Creed Shadows Resynced, suggest you listen up. Today we're gonna dive deep into all the new gameplay mechanics, features, and everything for this brand new remake. Actually, I want to say also, you're going to get some really key things that you need to know about this one. So stay tuned, lock in, let's do it. First thing I'm going to say, in the background, you're watching exclusive gameplay, and I just want to thank Ubisoft. They've been sending me stuff ever since can't even say since when, but they've been sending me a lot of this stuff, and it's been exciting to see the development of this, specifically because this was a very controversial game for me personally, and we're going to get into that later. I want to kind of just focus in on the gameplay and give you guys some thoughts. You've seen a lot of combat, things like some stealth takedowns like you're seeing here, and also just fighting mechanics that you can learn from. The development of the game has been massive, and combat is a big one. You can see it's way more versed, and it isn't as standard as just wait and come to a counterattack. They've changed up the combat and added deeper layers to it. And there's things that are new, which you can't just spam the same move. They will counter that and hit you with an unblockable attack. And to me, that is super cool. You have this grapple, you can pull someone in, then as you can see, you're going to be able to finish them off as well. Those kind of things are special and important. We're going to talk about combat and stealth in a little bit, where you're seeing here, capable of sneaking up behind people and actually crouching, something that didn't exist in the original game outside of getting into bushes and so on. This is now a fully functional experience, like the modern day games. Shadows had some of the best stealth and combat, and this game is pretty much taking pieces of that into what we know and love about Black Flag, adding layers to it. There is a shadow system, which is pretty cool, where you can hide in the dark, not be seen. And then they also have all this very cool capabilities to just get in there, running and gunning, and get into a battle. As you see, this guy has unblockable red attacks, and those are rarely deadly, but as long as you dodge or dodge away from those, you should be fine. Still have the ground attacks like they had before, and that's awesome. And this was one of the best parts, is the trees. I felt like Parkour evolved a little bit when it comes to having the trees as an advantage. As you can see here, these darts are going to cause havoc, and these are these hallucination darts that we've known throughout the series that basically puts an enemy to attack his own. And that's always been a fun staple, to just watch the action and kind of go through those things. And personally, one of my favorite is always the double assassinations, which still exists in the game. They changed the way the cinematic plays out when you do it, but it's still in the game. Of course, the range weapons are always fun to have, and that was one of the things I think that people really love, being able to just blast away at times. And I want to kind of touch on the parkour. There's a lot to say about parkour, but we want to kind of go through just a little bit right now. Parkour is the most important thing in the series outside of the core elements, which we'll get into later. This is a big part of Assassin's Creed, and why I love the series was being able to just jump around and not only explore, find areas, but also to stealth very well. And it is something that I believe was lost. And that's where Black Flag and other games that came after lost their way, in my opinion. And a little bit later, I'm going to break some deep stuff down that's going to help you really understand fully and make you understand why I was not as happy with this game compared to others. But for now, let's stay focused on this very cool parkour. And we're going to take a moment here to look at Havana. This is the best area to parkour in the whole game. It is a packed full city. And this is exclusive footage that I'm grateful to break down because it does help you see just a little bit about what the game can offer for parkour when it comes to your freedom. I want to mention that the system for parkour has changed. This is one of those things that is the most controversial. Those that are like me have really focused on parkour, but the games over the years lost track. After the first 5 games, they started dumbing down the parkour and making it less freedom, less fluidity, and kind of a stiff rail. And I actually believe this is going to be one of the games that changes that. Mirage and Shadows put out updates to fix the parkour, but that was later on in their releases. And this game is saying, hey, we're going to try to release with good parkour for you. Now, I'll be honest, I would have to do a whole video breaking down why not, but I believe they need to make a new system from the ground up with parkour, because there's still always these small little hiccups that are interesting to see. But with Havana being so large and the parkour confirmed to be improved from all of the hands-on, I think everybody that knows about parkour can tell you that this is going to be special. And I wanted to pause this whole breakdown and talk about Havana for that specific reason. Everything you're seeing is this location where we're going to be capable of doing tons of parkour. So side ejects, back ejects, and all the other elements are going to be critical and fun in this specific area. So expect people to make these very cool videos where they just parkour. And it has become a tradition for some people in the community to make routes and put out videos about it. So enjoy as you go. A couple things I want to mention while we look deeper into Havana that I think is just key information for you guys to know is, yes, of course, July 9th, the game is releasing. I am not confirming or denying that I might be doing an early review. You'll see. This is made from the Anvil engine that has already proven itself to be very special. It's built completely from the ground up, and the whole open world is seamless. So you're not going to have a bunch of different loading screens and things like that when you go into certain areas like Havana or Kingston. So that's awesome. Also, they just confirmed that 60 FPS performance mode will exist on the base PlayStation 5, as well as, of course, Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 Pro. It's going to be a 30 FPS Fidelity mode for just visuals, as well as a balance mode with 40 FPS. So that is super interesting. I'm super excited to see all modes, but the one that's very interesting is the 30 FPS Fidelity with 20 hertz, which could be special. We'll see. Now, for parkour, as I mentioned, I don't want to go too deep into too much just on this video, but I absolutely am excited. Now I want to get into a couple of key things that I noticed with this parkour is they've improved on your capability to manual jump and have the capability to do ejects properly. And so I don't know which system is this. A lot of people say it's looking like Shadows, but I believe it's all new in different ways using the systems, the foundations of those. And as you can see here, you know, you're above ground and you're stealthing and you're trying to get your mission done. But what's cool is you can also do a couple of simple things that will help you, which is take off your hood. There's a new dodging system. There's a transmog system for weapons and so on, where you'll be able to change how it looks, even though it's the same outfits. And the takedown system and the defense bar is pretty cool to have for parries and instant takedowns and so on. So I'm excited about that. As well as they basically improved the stealth tenfold. So a lot more dedicated crouch button, being able to hide behind different objectives and use cover, being able to grab loot instant and things like that. So it's not going to be too crazy. As well as the tool wield, you'll get to manually aim your weapons, your blow darts, your long rope dart as well, plus your smoke bombs. You'll be able to have full control. And there's plenty more, but those are just some. As usual, the settings tend to be very good for Assassin's Creed games, and they let you take off all these HUDs if you really wanted to take off some of these HUDs, and it was a lot going on there. I personally leave them on for the first couple hours, and then slowly I'll start removing some HUD elements that I think I don't need. I want to kind of take a moment to talk about this combat here that you're seeing, using a smoke bog in the middle of a combat when you get caught, trying to battle these guys, weaken them, and do these counters and takedowns. The game is going to let you be powerful. They're not going to just dumb the game down. It's actually reinforcing you to enjoy and be the best you could be. And that's important, I say. So I love that. Now I want to get into deeper dives, literally deeper dives into the water side of things and discuss the brand new systems for this part of it. Right, so you can go underwater anywhere, something you couldn't do before. And this is just spectacular. I've had a good time exploring. The only question we have is like, what are you going to get? If I can go underwater anywhere, how many good things are there? It's a question. Because in underwater, you can stay underwater by going into these buckets and doing all this stuff where you can live under there pretty much, spend hours exploring. And especially with the amount of water that there is, this game is a pirate game. It gets interesting. I don't know the answer to that. I think people, once the reviews officially come, we can discuss that part of it, but it is cool. This right here is the fun stuff of fighting a shark and trying to stay alive and dealing with different things, like for example getting some air has been something I personally can appreciate. And so these are the kind of things that are coming and that make the game even more deeper than what it was, in my opinion. And so I'm definitely going to be looking around and having fun with this. One of my favorite things was actually whale hunting. Pretty cool thing, and I hope to see it again. there's something mystical about whales. I love them personally. Just a video game. We're not really hunting them in real life. So, but I just really love whales. That being said, the underwater part will guarantee that there's layers to this conversation about what this offers and what it could be. And that's something I'm excited for. I think it can continue to develop, you know, the world in different ways. And just to talk about the update, like they basically said that they added side missions, extra content, you know, multiple hours, and there isn't an exact hour, but an estimated. So for me, that's great. And for you, you can ignore all of it and you don't have to go dive underwater searching for silly treasures, and you can go finish the main story and stick to the plan. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you have the time, or if you want to just explore a little bit, and kind of one of the fun things I like to do is after I do a couple missions, just take a break, see the world, find some new things, discover some other side stories. That's kind of how I play open world games. I'm not in a rush to just complete it. It's more about enjoying the universe as much as humanly possible. And this is something that I believe Assassin's Creed does very well. The universes are always beautiful, which I'm not going to even mention. I think that's common sense and it shouldn't have to be pointed out. But let's just take a moment to breathe it in, see for ourselves in the beautiful lands.
That's quite the headstone.
I personally, you know, super faithful to the series, but I do want to start talking about something that you guys might be surprised about. So this a little later, I have a big confession about my time with this series and things that I didn't appreciate about it that I think you guys might find interesting. And I want to move on before we get into that, into the ships. I don't know how much you guys know about these bad boys, but there's plenty to discuss. So ships this time around have been improved in many ways. So the animations of all your characters, their storylines, recruiting, there's tons of new combat systems that have been enhanced in different ways, alternate fighting, alternate attacks and abilities that you can have that makes it even more better in different ways. So for me, that is the key, because I've already played it and I don't feel like just going around doing the exact same thing. Now that there's layers to it and there's new systems, it's going to be very, very special. You can see right here, this combat is intense and it is the real deal. You can't rely on just autopilot. You gotta get in there, get your shots up. A little pro tip is you don't want to destroy their ships. Don't panic. You want to board them. So weakening them enough to get on board, and then when you're on board, you can officially take over. And you can get more rewards that way and do way better for yourself. And I'm not going to spoil the game here. This isn't like a spoiler review. It's not a review at all. But this is important. And this is the key part, in my opinion, for you to really, really benefit from taking down a ship in general. You don't do this for the heck of it. You're a pirate, and your goal is to conquer. Always board the ship, always find all the best resources you can. And this is kind of a little spam way to get a bunch of good stuff. So I don't know how that's going to change compared to the original when it comes to rewards and how many layers, but what they did confirm is that you're capable of actually not only replaying the legendary ships, which are the hardest ones in the game, to restart them. So there's going to be more things to discover. So being on the ship is not going to be what it was before. And I think that's very important to note because we did have the traditional setup in the past. And so it's special. The rest of this video, we're going to have a mixture of gameplay. I'm going to do a comparison. I'm going to show environment and some cinematics. And during all that time, I want to dive into some of my personal feelings about this whole thing and help you know where I'm at with it. I was thinking of making a separate video where I do a big confession and share my opinions. But we're gonna add that into this very long video to give you guys more entertainment and really go deep. Okay, so enjoy the gameplay while I break it all down. I've been an Assassin's Creed fan since the beginning, since the first release ever. Got lost into the world. It might have been my first open world that I really played this intensely. And the truth was, the Desmond story, which is the modern day story about a man whose DNA was critical because his ancestors were very important figures of the past. So a company found a way to use somebody who has the DNA of someone from the past, tap into their memories. And it's basically allowing you to tap into that memory. So imagine you go into a device and end up in a simulation of a memory from your ancestors. That's what Desmond was doing. And he did it for 5 games. And we discovered so many powerful sci-fi secrets. How, all these artifacts can have superpower abilities, and how there was an advanced civilization who created the humans, but they wanted to use them as slaves, and all this stuff that was happening that was pretty fun and interesting storylines that kept developing, and it was the reason why I played the series. Yes, all the ancient times and history times were fun, and I enjoyed them all. I promise you, that was what kept me coming back, because I was so curious of what would happen next and what's next, and discover the truth about the modern day. And it was such a beautiful time, and it led me to 5 Assassin's Creed games, the first original games, whether it was part 1, part 2 with Ezio, the trilogy he had, and so on. And it ended right before Black Flag came out. When Black Flag came out, the main character was gone. And the modern day was you working in an office. And it was a first person. And at the time of playing Black Flag, I wanted to know more of the story of the modern day. I was interested, but by the end, I was very disappointed. And throughout the whole time working in an office and just kind of dull story in the modern day really killed the whole modern day momentum that existed. And that caused me to dislike Black Flag and say it's the reason that killed the modern day. Now, the problem with that statement is that a Black Flag is actually very incredible. You watch the cutscenes and the story and some of these cinematic gameplay elements, comparing the original, which you're watching here. There's fun stuff. You're chasing down somebody, you're jumping through the trees. There's a lot to love about the game, without a shadow of a doubt. And it does a lot of things well. But that modern day stuff was the definition of Assassin's Creed for me. And this was the origin of its death. Because after this, it's never been back the same ever again. And that is the biggest problem I've had. Excuse me. So that's my biggest fall. So that left a stain. And then on top of that, the tailing missions were pretty bad. And they weren't bad because they weren't that interesting. It was pretty cool to kind of sneak up behind somebody and kind of follow them. It's a stealth game, so I'm cool with it. But it became so repetitive that I said to myself, are they really not going to give me any new type of experience? Is it all just tailing people? And for somebody who loves stealth, that's kind of sad, where it's like, okay, they didn't get innovative with the stealth mechanics. You know, infiltrating a base, a castle, a church, those are stealthy. Those are, you know, mechanics that is variety. But just following somebody over and over and over wasn't exactly great mission designs. And that was the second problem that I had with this game. And then the third problem, which is not really a problem because I enjoyed first time playing through the ship missions. And I always thought they were very, very well made and fun to have some battles on the ship. But it also reminded me that it's turned into a pirate game, and the Assassin's Creed, there's no creed in the way I would want it. The focus became other things, RPG, role-playing, and not focus on the creed. For me, the original Assassin's Creed was the best form of the game because the modern day was peak, and then also they showed you the creed. They showed you, if you're a bad assassin, how they punish you and how they make you train again and learn to be a real assassin and be stealthy, and it was amazing. And later on, all these games right after Black Flag became games of role playing. You know, you were a samurai, for example, for Shadows, and things of that nature. And it's like, can we learn about the creed? Can we go deeper into their lore, their stories, their experiences? And that was something that hurt. While the ships were super interesting and it's always beautiful and it feels really good, as you can see in the background, the visuals are just spectacular. And I've always loved this personally in real life and in the games, to be on ships. It was more hurt that I had inside of me of losing parts of the series. And I didn't know how much it mattered to me until this game, the original. And I finally woke up and realized, wow, you are a little bitter. And then this game gets announced, and I have early access and the information from Ubisoft, and I'm like, wow, like, I loved this game when it came out. I love a lot of the gameplay. But I became bitter because part of my series was not focused on it. And the truth was, shout out to the creative director and the team that's working on this. Like, they listened to me complain. Like, they saw me crying out on Twitter and on my streams while I played every Assassin's Creed game. And I complained about some of the things that they added that was pretty horrible. And they said, okay, he's right. Well, he's wrong for feeling so emotionally attached to it, but this modern day stuff was not good, and we should have done better. And they basically did do better. They officially shut that down. We're not going to get a silly office worker nonsense. And we also don't have to tail, as you can see in that part right here. I don't have to do tailing mission. I can just get whatever I need from the person that I was supposed to get it from.
That's where I'll find him then.
And it makes it interesting. And then on top of that, you know, with the ship missions, they made them more enhanced, and as well as the combat, stealth, and so much more. So for me, you know, I've replayed a couple of the Assassin's Creed games. I never replayed Black Flag. And I'm so glad I never did, because now I get to play the remake. And I know that's kind of like, dude, you're supposed to be Assassin's Creed guy. Well, I am. And I can have my preferences on what I like most. And it honestly feels like this is going to be one of my all-time favorite Assassin's Creed games. Again, it is not even in my top 5, I have other games above it. And this one might end up being up there, the remake specifically, because the story, the cinematics, and all of the elements are too good. So I'm excited for that. And I just wanted to share an honest breakdown on some of this core stuff, but also my feelings and why I feel this way. If you have like thoughts, opinions, and conversations you want to start about it in the comments, feel free. Um, Ubisoft, will most likely give me that early access to review the game, and I can do my breakdown on it. I'm a little conflicted because I do want to replay the old one. It's only about a week and a half away while I make this video, but if I play the other one, it might taint what I'm feeling right now. Excitement is so vast for them improving the things that I wanted. But either way, I'll get you guys a review, share my impressions, and do live streams for this one. So expect that. All right. Well, I have another video maybe or two that's coming up about Assassin's Creed on the channel right now. Go check them out. And if you like this, leave a like, subscribe, and comment to show support. Your time is appreciated. Catch you on the next one.